Liam never asked to stand in this cold mountain dark, caught between Travis' threats and the icy fear of losing Ethan for good. His heart pounds as Ethan's touch becomes the only warmth left between lies, blackmail, and eyes that know too much. Every stolen glance is a trap, every whispered word a risk they can't erase. Travis won't back down, Mark's ready to end Ethan's career, and Casey sees more than he says. But how do you run when one night in the storm cracked you open, raw and hungry for something real? Be a ghost again, fade back into silence, or burn for what should never be. Liam feels Ethan's breath, the taste of rain on lips that promised tomorrow didn't matter. But tomorrow's here, and every heartbeat dares someone to tear them apart. Will Liam break free to pull Ethan with him, or betray this reckless warmth to protect them both? One lie could save them, one truth could end it Allenless. They risk everything before someone else does. I was 20, barely holding myself together, when I stepped off the bus into the damp chill of the Blue Ridge Mountains. My name's Liam Carter, a college sophomore with a habit of fading into the background. My blonde hair stuck to my forehead, and my blue eyes scanned the misty parking lot, heart pounding like it wanted to escape my chest. I'd always been shy, the kid-hod rather hike alone than face a crowded room. Growing up in a house full of siblings, I was the ghost unseen, unheard, always carrying a quiet ache for something more. I'd known for years I was drawn to men, but admitting it felt like stepping off a cliff. Fear of rejection kept me locked in silence, especially after a high school crush laughed in my face when I'd tried to confess. My roommate Casey had dragged me into this. "Come on, Liam, a survival hike. It's adventure, not a death sentence," Head teased, his loud voice echoing in our dorm. I didn't want to come, but his relentless enthusiasm wore me down. So there I was, backpack slung over my shoulder, standing among a dozen other students, all strangers, their chatter buzzing like static. The air smelled of wet pine, and fog clung to the trees, but I barely noticed. My stomach twisted, not from the cold, but from the weight of being somewhere new, exposed. That's when I saw him, Ethan Ross, the volunteer guide. He stood apart, all rugged edges and quiet command, like he belonged to the mountain itself. At 37, he had dark stubble framing a sharp jaw, green eyes that seemed to carry too many stories, and a lean, weathered build that said head faced worse than a weekend with college kids. He wore a faded jacket, hands stuffed in his pockets, but his presence pulled at me like gravity. I caught myself staring, then looked away, cheeks burning. He was older, probably straight, and way out of my league. "All right, everyone, listen up." Mark, the group leader, barked. He was a wiry guy in his 40s, all business, clipboard in hand. "We're hiking 5 miles to camp. Stick together, no wandering. Ethan and I are in charge, so don't test us." His eyes flicked to me like he sensed I was already half checked out. I shifted my weight, avoiding his gaze. Casey nudged me, grinning. "You look like you're gonna bolt, man. Relax, it's just a hike." His voice was too loud, drawing eyes. I forced a smile, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying the way Ethan's eyes had scanned the group, lingering on me for a split second. Or maybe I imagined it. The group started moving, boots crunching on gravel. I hung back, letting the others surge ahead. Ethan walked at the rear, his steps steady, deliberate. I felt him behind me, a presence I couldn't shake. My pulse raced, and I cursed myself for it. This wasn't the place to feel whatever this was. Halfway up the trail, the sky darkened and rain started to spit. Mark shouted for us to pick up the pace, but the fog thickened, swallowing the path. I tripped over a root, catching myself on a tree. My hands stung, and I cursed under my breath. "You okay?" Ethan's voice was low, closer than I expected. I turned, and there he was, inches away, his breath visible in the cold air. His eyes locked on mine, steady but searching, like he saw more than I wanted him to. "Yeah, just clumsy," I mumbled, brushing dirt off my hands. My voice shook, and I hated it. His hand hovered near my arm, like he might steady me, but he pulled back, jaw tight. "Stay close," he said, his tone firm but not unkind. "This fog's no joke." He moved ahead, and I followed, my heart hammering for reasons I couldn't name. By dusk, we reached a clearing, but the rain was relentless. Mark was arguing with another student, Travis, a tall guy with a cocky smirk who kept glancing at me like he knew something I didn't. "This weather's crap, Mark," Travis snapped. "You said it'd be clear. Plans change," Mark shot back. "Set up your tents." His voice was clipped, distracted. I fumbled with my tent poles, fingers numb, when Ethan appeared beside me. "Need a hand?" he asked, kneeling without waiting for an answer. His fingers brushed mine as he grabbed a stake, and a jolt shot through me, sharp and unwelcome. I yanked my hand back, muttering a thanks. He didn't look up, but I swore his lips twitched like he'd noticed. Night fell, and the group huddled around a weak fire. Casey was loud, telling dumb jokes, while Travis kept tossing me sly looks like he was testing me. Ethan sat across the flames, his face half lit, eyes on the fire but distant. I watched him, my chest tight. He was a stranger, but something about him felt like a door I wasn't ready to open. Then it happened. A crack of thunder shook the ground, and the rain turned vicious. Mark shouted, "Pack it up, we're moving to higher ground." Panic erupted. Students scrambled, tents collapsing in the chaos. I grabbed my bag, but the fog was so thick I could barely see Casey's red jacket ahead. Someone yelled, and the group splintered, voices fading into the storm. I froze, heart racing, until Ethan's hand gripped my shoulder. "Lie 'em with me," he shouted over the wind. I nodded, too rattled to speak. We ran, slipping on wet rocks, the world a blur of gray and cold. My lungs burned, but his grip kept me moving. We ducked into a shallow cave, drenched and shaking, the storm roaring outside. "Stay here," Ethan said, his voice steady despite the chaos. He was close, too close, his jacket brushing my arm. I nodded, teeth chattering, my mind a mess of fear and something else, something warm and dangerous. His eyes met mine in the dim light, and for a moment the storm wastened the loudest thing in the cave. My breath caught, and I looked away, terrified of what he might see in me. The cave was a cold, damp cocoon, the storm's howl muffled by its walls. I sat huddled against the rock, my wet clothes clinging to my skin, every shiver a reminder of how close Ethan was. He crouched a few feet away, checking his flashlight, its weak beam flickering across his face. His dark stubble caught the light, and I couldn't stop staring, my pulse a traitor. I'd never felt this pull before, not like this sharp, reckless wrong. "You warm enough?" Ethan asked, his voice low, cutting through the drip of water. He didn't look at me, just kept messing with the flashlight like it was his lifeline. "Barely," I said, my teeth chattering. I hugged my knees, trying to shrink the space between us without moving. "You think the others are okay?" He shrugged, finally meeting my eyes. "Mark's got them. He's strict but knows his stuff. We just gotta wait out this storm." His gaze lingered, and I felt it like a touch, heavy and searching. I looked down, my face hot despite the cold. We were stuck, the two of us, in this tiny cave with nowhere to go. The air felt thick, not just with dampness but with something unspoken. I shifted, and my knee brushed his. I froze, heart slamming, but he didn't move away. Instead, he leaned back, his shoulder inches from mine, and let out a slow breath. "First time in the mountains?" he asked, like he was trying to fill the silence. "Yeah," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Casey dragged me here, said it'd be fun." I forced a laugh, but it came out shaky. Not sure this is what he meant. Ethan chuckled, a low rumble that made my stomach flip. "Casey's the loud one, right? Seems like he'd talk his way out of a bear attack." I smiled, relaxing a fraction. "That's him, never shuts up." I paused, then added, "'Im not like that. I don't usually do this stuff. Groups, I mean." He tilted his head, studying me. "You don't seem like the group type. More like you're running from something." His words hit like a punch, too close to the truth. I stiffened, but he didn't push, just watched me with those green eyes that saw too much. "'Im not running," I lied, my voice sharp. "Just figuring things out." He nodded, like he believed me, but the corner of his mouth twitched, skeptical. "Aren't we all?" he said, almost to himself. He pulled a protein bar from his pack and broke it in half, offering me a piece. Our fingers brushed as I took it, and a spark shot up my arm. I yanked my hand back, the bar nearly falling. "Thanks," I mumbled, shoving it in my mouth to avoid talking. He didn't say anything, but I caught him watching me, his expression unreadable. The silence stretched, heavy with questions neither of us asked. Hours crawled by, the storm unrelenting. Ethan started a small fire with some dry twigs he'd scavenged, and we sat closer to share the warmth. His knee pressed against mine now, deliberate or not, I couldn't tell. Every point of contact burned, and I hated how much I wanted it to mean something. "Tell me something about you," I blurted, desperate to break the tension. My voice sounded too loud in the quiet cave. He raised an eyebrow, surprised. "Not much to tell. I teach survival skills, volunteer for trips like this. Keeps me busy." He paused, then added, softer, "Keeps me from thinking too much." "About what?" I asked, bolder than I felt. He hesitated, his jaw tightening. "Stuff I can't fix. My son mostly. He's 16, lives with his mom. Doesn't want much to do with me." His voice cracked, just a little, and it hit me hard. He wasn't just some rugged guide. It was human, carrying his own scars. "I'm sorry," I said, meaning it. "My family's not close either. Always felt like I was in the way. I didn't know why I said it, but the words spilled out, raw and honest." He looked at me then, really looked, and I felt exposed, like he could see every secret I'd buried. "You're not in the way here," he said, his voice steady but warm. "You're doing fine, Liam." My name on his lips sent a shiver through me, not from the cold. I swallowed, my throat tight. "Thanks," I whispered, barely audible. Our eyes locked, and for a moment the world shrank to just us, the fire's glow painting shadows across his face. Then a shout cut through the storm distant, but sharp. "Liam, Ethan." It was Travis, his voice carrying a taunting edge even through the rain. Ethan stood fast, breaking the moment, and I scrambled up, my heart racing for a different reason now. "Stay here," Ethan said, grabbing his pack. "I'll check it out." "No way," I shot back, grabbing my jacket. "I'm coming." He looked like he wanted to argue, but nodded instead, his hand brushing my arm as he moved past. That touch lingered, a quiet promise or a warning, I wasn't sure. We stepped into the rain, the fog swallowing us again. Travis' voice called once more, closer now, and I caught a glimpse of his silhouette through the mist. He waved, grinning like he'd won something. "Found you lovebirds," he shouted, and my stomach dropped. Ethan's face hardened, but he didn't respond, just motioned for Travis to lead the way. As we followed, Travis kept glancing back, his smirk grating on me. "You two looked cozy in there," he said, loud enough for Ethan to hear. I wanted to disappear, my face burning, but Ethan just kept walking, his shoulders tense. We reached a small overhang where Travis had taken shelter. "Rest of the group's up the ridge," he said, his eyes flicking between us. "Mark's pissed. Said you two wandered off." "We didn't wander," Ethan snapped, his voice like steel. "Storm split us up, you know that." Travis shrugged, still smirking. "Sure, man, whatever you say." He looked at me, his gaze lingering too long, and I felt a twist of unease. He was playing at something, but I didn't know what. Ethan turned to me, his voice low. "You good?" His hand hovered near my shoulder, not quite touching, but close enough to make my breath catch. "Yeah," I lied, my voice barely steady. "I'm good," but I wasn't. The cave, his touch, his words stirred something in me I couldn't ignore. I wanted to run from it, from him, but every step beside him pulled me closer, like a tide I couldn't fight. And with Travis watching, I felt the weight of eyes on us, a warning of what might come if we weren't careful. The overhang trapped us, rain pounding like a heartbeat. Travis lounged against the rock, his eyes glinting with mischief, watching me and Ethan like he'd caught us stealing. I stood close to Ethan, my arm brushing his, the contact sparking under my skin. His presence was a pull I couldn't shake, and it terrified me. The storm raged on, Mark's group still lost somewhere in the fog, leaving us stuck with Travis' smirk and my pounding heart. "Real cozy setup," Travis drawled, his voice sharp. "You two always this close, or am I special?" "Shut it," Ethan snapped, his voice low, dangerous. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, but his jaw twitched, betraying his unease. I felt it toot. Ravis' gaze was a blade, slicing through the air between us. I shifted, my boots scraping the stone. "I'm checking the rain," I muttered, desperate to escape. I moved toward the edge, but Ethan's hand caught my wrist, firm, electric. "Don't," he said, his eyes locking on mine. "It's too dangerous." His fingers lingered, and my pulse roared, drowning out the storm. Travis' eyebrow shot up, but Ethan didn't let go, not yet. When he did, his touch burned, a silent question I couldn't answer. Whatever, I mumbled, sinking back, closer to him than before. My shoulder pressed against his, and every nerve screamed. Travis snorted, looking away, but the tension coiled tighter, a wire ready to snap. Travis' snores finally broke the silence, his head slumped against the rock. Ethan nudged me, his voice barely a whisper. "Let's check the path. He's fine here." His breath brushed my ear, and I shivered, nodding. We slipped into the mist, the forest a blur of wet shadows. Ethan led, his steps sure, but I could only see him the way his jacket hugged his frame, the tension in his shoulders. We stopped in a small clearing, pines shielding us from the world. He turned, his eyes catching mine, and I forgot how to breathe. "You're shaking," he said, stepping closer. His voice was soft, but it hit like a spark. I hadn't noticed, but he was right. Me hands trembled, cold and desire tangled together. "I'm fine," I lied, my voice cracking. He was too close now, his centrane and setter flooding my senses. My heart slammed against my ribs, begging for something I couldn't name. "You're not," he murmured. Then he pulled me into his arms, his hands strong on my back. I froze, panic and want crashing together, but his warmth broke me. I sank into him, my face against his shoulder, his heartbeat steady under my cheek. Ethan, I whispered, my voice raw, a plea I didn't understand. Liam, he breathed, his voice rough, we can't. But his arms tightened and his hand slid to my neck, thumb grazing my jaw. I looked up, meeting his eye screen, haunted, burning. Fear and hunger warred in them, mirroring my own. I don't know who moved first. Our lips crashed together, desperate, tasting of rain and salt. His stubble scraped my skin, and I gasped, my hands gripping his jacket. He kissed me like he was starving, his fingers in my hair, pulling me closer. The world dissolved, nothing but his mouth, his heat, the ache in my chest. I pressed against him, needing more, my hands shaking with want. He broke the kiss, his forehead against mine, breath ragged. "This is wrong," he whispered, guilt lacing his voice. "You're too young, Liam." "Don't say that," I snapped, pulling back to glare at him. "I'm not a kid. I know what I want." My voice trembled, but I'd never been surer. His eyes searched mine, torn, but his thumb still traced my pulse, betraying him. "You don't get it," he said, his voice breaking. "I've got a son, an ex, a life you don't need to mess with. I don't care," I shot back, reckless. "I want you." The words tore out raw, exposing every secret I'd buried. His breath caught, and for a moment we just stared, the air electric. Then he kissed me again, slower, softer, but no less desperate. It was a surrender, a vow, and it shattered me. I clung to him, terrified head slip away, my hands fisting in his jacket as the kiss deepened, stealing my breath. A branch cracked, sharp and close. We sprang apart, hearts racing. Travis stood at the clearing's edge, his smirk cold, eyes gleaming. "Well, shit," he said, his voice low, mocking. "Didn't expect that." Ethan stepped in front of me, his body rigid. "What do you want?" His tone was ice, a warning. Travis shrugged, his gaze flicking to me. Mark's group's near, thought y'd care. His eyes lingered, sharp and dangerous, and my stomach twisted. "Head seen too much. Get back," Ethan growled. Travis smirked, turning away, but his glance at me promised trouble. When he was gone, Ethan faced me, his expression grim. "We can't do this again," he said, his voice cracking. "It's too much." "Okay," I whispered, the lie bitter. "I didn't mean it," and his eyes said he didn't either. We walked back in silence, the kiss a live wire between us, burning with every step. The mist hung heavy as we trudged back to the overhang, Ethan's silence louder than the fading storm. My lips still burned from our kiss, but Travis' smirk haunted me, a shadow that wouldn't lift. His knowing glance had cracked something open, and I felt exposed, like a nerve laid bare. Ethan walked ahead, his shoulders stiff, and I wanted to reach for him, to pull him back to that clearing, but the weight of Travis' eyes stopped me. We found Travis leaning against the rock, his grin sharp as a blade. "Took you long enough," he said, his voice dripping with insinuation. "Get lost out there, or just distracted?" "Enough," Ethan snapped, his tone cutting through the damp air. "Where's Mark's group?" His eyes didn't meet mine, but I felt his tension, a mirror to my own. Travis jerked his thumb toward the ridge. "Up there," heard him shouting. "Let's move." He shot me a look, his eyes glinting with something I couldn't read, amusement, or worse, leverage. My stomach churned as we followed him, the path slick under my boots. The fog was thinning when we reached the others, their voices sharp with panic. Mark stood in the center, barking orders, his face red with frustration. Casey was there, his usual grin gone, his red jacket muddy. "Liam," he called, jogging over. "Where the hell were you? Thought you got eaten by a bear." "Got separated," I muttered, avoiding his eyes. My voice sounded hollow, and I felt Ethan's presence behind me, a silent anchor. Casey clapped my shoulder, oblivious, but Mark's gaze zeroed in on us. "You too," Mark said, pointing at me and Ethan. "What happened? You can't just wander off." His voice was sharp, but his eyes lingered on Ethan, suspicious, like he sensed something off. "Storm split us," Ethan said, his voice steady but cold. "Found shelter, that's it." His lie was smooth, but Mark's frown deepened, and I caught Travis smirking from the sidelines. "Fine," Mark said, but his tone said he wasn't convinced. "We're heading to camp. Stay one. Stay close." He turned away, and I exhaled, my heart racing, not from Mark's glare, but from Travis' quiet chuckle nearby. As we marched toward camp, Travis fell into step beside me, his voice low. "You and Ethan, huh? Didn't see that coming." His words were casual, but they hit like a punch. I froze, my throat tight. "What are you talking about?" I hissed, keeping my voice down. Ethan was ahead, talking to Mark, out of earshot. Travis leaned closer, his breath warm against my ear. "Saw you too in that clearing." Looked real close. His smirk was venomous. Wonder what Mark'd think about his star guide getting cozy with a kid. My blood ran cold. You don't know shit, I snapped, but my voice shook. Travis laughed softly, stepping back as Casey approached, oblivious to the tension. What's his deal? Casey asked, nodding at Travis. Guy's a dick. Yeah, I muttered, my eyes on Travis' back. He was trouble, and he knew too much. My stomach twisted as I glanced at Ethan, his face unreadable, but I could feel the distance he was trying to keep. At camp, the group set up tents in a clearing, the air thick with damp and tension. Ethan worked alone, his movements sharp, avoiding me. I wanted to grab him, demand he talk to me, but Travis' eyes followed us, a constant threat. Then Casey pulled me aside, his face serious for once. Liam, you okay? He asked, his voice low. You're acting weird, and Ethan's been staring at you like you're a bomb about to go off. I forced a laugh, my chest tight. Just tired, man. Storms got me rattled. The lie tasted bitter, but Casey didn't push, just nodded and headed to his tent. Night fell, and the group gathered around a fire, but Ethan stayed at the edge, his face half shadowed. I sat across from him, my heart aching with every glance he avoided. Then Mark's voice cut through the chatter. Ethan, Liam, a word. His tone was clipped, and my gut sank. We followed him to a quiet spot, Travis trailing like a vulture. Mark crossed his arms, his eyes hard. I heard something, he said, glancing between us, about you two, alone, acting unprofessional. The word hung heavy, and my face burned. Ethan's jaw clenched. Who said that? He demanded, but his eyes flicked to Travis, who leaned against a tree, smirking. Doesn't matter, Mark said. Is it true? His gaze bored into me, and I felt small, exposed. No, I lied, my voice barely steady. Nothing happened, but my heart pounded, and Travis' low chuckle made my skin crawl. Mark turned to Ethan. You're supposed to lead, Ross, not whatever this is. His voice was low, accusing. If I find out you crossed a line, you're done. Ethan's face was stone. Understood, but his eyes met mine for a split second, raw with guilt and something deeper. He walked away, leaving me with Mark's glare and Travis' smug grin. Travis sidled up as Mark left. Told you, kid, he whispered. This ain't over. His words were a blade, and I felt the cut. Ethan was gone, the group's eyes on me, and the secret we'd barely touched was already a noose. The campfire's glow couldn't warm the chill in my bones. Ethan stood at the edge of the group, his face a mask, avoiding me like I was poison. My chest ached, every breath a reminder of Travis' whispered threat and Mark's accusing glare. The camp buzzed with tired chatter, but I felt like a ghost, caught between the secret burning inside me and the eyes that seemed to know too much. Travis lounged nearby, his smirk a constant jab, while Casey rambled about the storm, oblivious to the storm inside me. I couldn't stand it. I slipped away, heading for the trees, needing air, space, anything to quiet the panic clawing at me. My boots crunched on wet leaves, the fog still clinging to the ground. I didn't hear Ethan follow until his voice stopped me cold. Liam, wait. His tone was low, urgent, but it carried a weight that made my heart sink. I turned, and there he was, his green eyes dark with something I couldn't name, guilt, fear, maybe both. What do you want? I snapped, sharper than I meant. My voice trembled, and I hated it. You've barely looked at me since I couldn't say it, not out loud. The kiss in the clearing felt like a dream now, fragile and dangerous. He stepped closer, his jaw tight. We need to talk, now. His hand hovered near my arm, but he didn't touch me like he was afraid to. This thing between us, it's gotta stop. My stomach dropped. Stop? I echoed, my voice cracking. You kissed me, Ethan. You wanted it too. The words spilled out, raw and accusing, and his flinch told me I'd hit a nerve. I shouldn't have, he said, his voice rough. I'm too old for you, Liam. I've got a kid, a life you don't need to get tangled in. And now Travis. He cut off, running a hand through his hair, his frustration palpable. Travis, what? I demanded, stepping closer, my anger flaring. He's got nothing on us. He's just talking shit. Ethan's eyes flashed. He saw us, Liam, and he's not the only one watching. Mark's already suspicious. If this gets out, I'm done. My job, my reputation gone. His voice broke, and I saw the fear in him, real and raw. So that's it. I shot back, my voice rising. You're just gonna run because it's hard. What about me? What about what I feel? My hands shook, and I clenched them, trying to hold myself together. I'd never felt so exposed, so desperate. Ethan's face softened, but only for a second. You're young, he said, quieter now. You'll find someone else, someone who doesn't come with all this baggage. The words hit like a slap. Don't tell me what I want, I hissed, my eyes burning. I'm not some kid you can just dismiss. I know what this is, and am not running from it. I stepped closer, close enough to feel his breath, daring him to push me away. For a moment he didn't move, his eyes locked on mine, torn. Then he shook his head, stepping back. I can't do this, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I'm sorry. He turned, starting to walk away, and something in me snapped. Don't you dare, I shouted, grabbing his arm. He froze, his muscles tense under my grip. You don't get to decide for both of us. You felt it too. I know you did. My voice cracked, and I hated how small I sounded, but I couldn't stop. Tell me you don't want this, Ethan. Say it to my face. He turned slowly, his eyes raw, like I'd ripped something open. I want it, he admitted, his voice low and broken. God help me, I do, but it's not just about us. If this gets out, he trailed off, his hands clenching. You don't know what it's like to lose everything. Then fight for it, I pleaded, my voice shaking. For me, I was begging now, and I didn't care. The thought of losing him, of going back to the emptiness I'd carried for years, was unbearable. Before he could answer, a shout cut through the trees. Liam, Ethan, it was Casey, his voice loud and panicked. We sprang apart, my heart racing. Casey burst through the fog, his face pale. Mark's looking for you. Travis is talking shit, saying he saw you two doing stuff. His eyes darted between us, confused but suspicious. Ethan's face hardened. What did he say? He demanded, his voice like steel. Casey shifted, uneasy. Just that you were too close. Mark's pissed. He's calling a meeting. He looked at me, his brow furrowed. What's going on, man? Nothing, I lied, my voice hollow. But my chest was tight, and Ethan's silence beside me was deafening. Casey didn't buy it, but he just nodded, turning back toward camp. Go, Ethan said to me, his voice low. He'll handle this. His eyes didn't meet mine, and it felt like a door slamming shut. No, I said, my voice firm despite the fear. We faced this together, but he shook his head, stepping back, and the distance between us grew colder than the fog. Back at camp, Mark stood by the fire, his face grim. The group was quiet, their eyes on us as we approached. Travis stood to the side, his smirk gone but his gaze sharp, like a predator waiting. We need to talk, Mark said, his voice cold. Now my heart pounded, every eye await. Ethan stood beside me, but he felt miles away. Travis' words, Mark's suspicion, Casey's confusion were a net tightening around us. I wanted to grab Ethan's hand, to hold on, but he was already slipping away, and I didn't know how to stop it. The campfire's light flickered, casting shadows on Mark's stern face. Ethan stood rigid beside me, his silence a wall I couldn't breach. My heart pounded as Mark's eyes bored into us, the group's whispers a low hum. Travis leaned against a tree, his smirk sharp, while Casey hovered nearby, his confusion plain. The air felt like it could snap, every glance a spark ready to ignite. Talk, Mark said, his voice cold. Travis says you two were inappropriate. True or not, his words hit like a fist, and I felt the group's eyes shift, heavy with judgment. Ethan's jaw tightened. Nothing happened, he said, his voice steady but clipped. Travis is stirring shit. His lie was smooth, but I saw the strain in his eyes, the fear of losing everything. Travis laughed, low and cruel. Sure, Ross, I saw what I saw. His gaze flicked to me, daring me to speak. My throat closed, panic rising, but I couldn't let Ethan face this alone. It's not true, I said, my voice shaking. We got separated, that's all. The lie tasted like ash, and Casey's frown deepened, like he wanted to believe me but couldn't. Mark crossed his arms. This trip's done if I hear more. Ethan, you're on thin ice. He walked off, the group dispersing, but Travis lingered, his smirk a promise of trouble. Ethan grabbed my arm, pulling me into the trees. What the hell, Liam? He hissed, his eyes blazing. You should stayed quiet. I'm not letting you take the fall. I shot back, my voice raw. I'm in this too. My hands shook, and I stepped closer, desperate to bridge the gap between us. He ran a hand through his hair, his voice breaking. I'm trying to protect you. This could ruin us both. My son, my jaw. I can't lose them. His eyes met mine, raw, pleading. But you're breaking me apart. My chest tightened. Then stop pushing me away, I said, my voice cracking. I'm scared too, Ethan. I've never felt this before, but I can't let you go. The truth spilled out, reckless, and his breath caught. Liam, he whispered, stepping closer, his hand cupping my face. I'm a mess. My ex, my kid. I've failed them. I don't want to fail you too. His thumb brushed my cheek, and I leaned into it, my heart racing. You want, I said, my voice fierce. I want you, all of you. I grabbed his jacket, pulling him closer, and our lips met, harder than before, desperate and raw. His hands gripped my waist, pulling me against him, and I felt his heart pounding, matching mine. The kiss was fire, consuming every doubt, every fear, until there was only us. He pulled back, his forehead against mine, breath ragged. "If we do this," he murmured, "there's no going back." Then Daunt I whispered, my hands tight on his shoulders. "Stay with me." A distant hum broke the moment a helicopter's roar. Ethan's eyes widened. "Rescue," he said, grabbing my hand. We ran toward the sound, hope and fear tangling inside me.